Hello and welcome to IFL's Crafternoon on Facebook. Today we are going to be making a watermelon wreath. For this project you will need a foam wreath, pink, light green, and dark green ribbon, black buttons, a glue gun, scissors, and a ruler. Let's get started. First we're going to cover the top half of our foam wreath with pink ribbon. So I'm just going to put a dab of hot glue and press the end of my ribbon into that hot glue to secure it. Now I'm using a very light pink, and after I finished I wish I had used a brighter pink ribbon for this project, but you can use whatever color of pink ribbon you want that reminds you of watermelon. And we're just going to wrap this ribbon around the wreath, overlapping just a little bit to cover all of the green of our wreath form. So, wrap away. Okay, so we're getting down here to the end, and I'm just going to again use a dab of hot glue, and I am putting that hot glue on the back side of my wreath. So a dab of hot glue to hold that pink ribbon down in place, and that's going to be the top of our watermelon. Now we're going to make our watermelon rind, and this is where we're going to use the two different colors of green ribbon, because we're going to have a lighter green on the top of the wreath and a darker green on the bottom for the outside of the watermelon. Now my wreath is about 5 inches around the wreath, so I am cutting 2 pieces of ribbon about 3.5 inches long, because I'm going to glue those together, and with the overlap I want a little bit of extra. So I'm just going to put a dab of hot glue on the end of one of them, and putting them right sides together, just glue one on top of the other. Now what I'm going to do is put a dab of hot glue on the same end that I just glued together but on the dark green side, and I'm going to fold that over back on itself so that I have one long ribbon but with a nice folded edge. And then I'm going to put that onto my wreath. So I'm just going to put, I want it to overlap the pink, so I'm going to put a dab of hot glue here on the front. And then I'm just going to put where my two ribbons come together on top of that hot glue and press that on. And then we'll wrap it around the wreath. And I'm going to hot glue the lighter green down first and then overlap the darker green on top of that, just because I want to make sure that the whole bottom of my wreath is the dark green color. And hopefully no one's going to see the back of my wreath because it is a mess. Now, I'm going to show you this one more time so that you can see this whole process again. We're going to cut two pieces of ribbon, one from each color. Again, mine are going to be about 3.5 inches long because of the size of my wreath. So you will have to work with the size of your wreath on that. And I'm going to glue them together, just one dot of glue at the end of one ribbon, face to face, pushing that together. And then another dot of glue on the dark green side, right where I glued before, and folding the dark green, gluing it to itself to create one piece of ribbon with a smooth edge in the middle. And then again, we're going to add it to our wreath. Dot of hot glue. We're going to overlap just a little bit with the piece that we previously put on, lining those green edges up so that they make a nice line around your wreath, and then wrapping that around and gluing those on the back. You're going to repeat this process over and over and over again until you have the whole bottom half of your wreath covered. I worked starting on both ends and worked in so that the middle of my wreath had one solid piece on it. Whew, that was a lot of ribbon. Now, we're going to add some seeds to our watermelon using these small black buttons, and I'm just going to hot glue them onto the pink part of my wreath, just in a random pattern around the wreath. Now I also have this wooden welcome that I have painted green to match my wreath, and I'm just going to arrange that however I like it to look and hot glue that on to the top part of my wreath as well. And the last thing we need to do is add a hanger. So I'm just going to take a piece of my green ribbon, and I'm just going to put my wreath on upside down, and I'm just going to hot glue a piece of green ribbon onto the back of that, and I'm just going to make like a loop with hot glue again, twisting the ribbon so that it makes a nice hook, and then I'm going to trim those edges up and use that to hang my wreath. And now you've got a great summer wreath for on the front of your door. Stay safe and see you next week on IFL's Crafternoon on Facebook.